All right, how's it going, fight fans? I'm back here with another video here set for you guys. Going to be giving my recap and reaction of the David Benavidez and David Morrell boxing card, which was absolutely tremendous. What a star-studded Saturday it was for fight fans. You got UFC early in the day, midday for me. You got Royal Rumble, which was tremendous. Then you got this card. You just got the trade news for my NBA fans about Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis being swapped for the respective teams. But nonetheless, to go into this boxing card, which was absolutely up to the bill, we had Jason Rosario versus Jesus Alejandro Ramos. Kind of what I expected it to be. Pretty much just a beat down by Jesus Ramos. Shout out to Jason Rosario, though. He was there. He was being competitive. He was showing his veteran grit, trying to be able to battle through a lot of those things. But Jesus Ramos had a lot of success, especially going downstairs to the body, and really was starting to wear down on Jason Rosario, kind of getting where he wanted to be, doing the things that he needed to be able to do. Gets a knockdown in the seventh round, really hurts Jason Rosario bad, and then it gets stopped in the eighth round. So a great performance by Jesus Ramos, gets a nice name, a former champion on his record to be able to prove that he is going to that tier type of fighter that he believes that he is over the misstep in the Erickson Lubin fight that he got that loss against. But Jason Rosario, man, I don't know how he's taking that punishment downstairs when that one body shot by Charlo put him out like crazy. But yeah, Jesus Ramos gets the job done. Pretty simple, straightforward with that. Moving on up the card, we had a Mexican war of the year, of the ages, probably of the decade. Angel Fierro versus Isaac Pitbull Cruz was an absolute war from start to beginning. Only 10 rounds. And man, these guys got some like lead in their heads or something because their skulls are not made out of bones. These guys were taking punishment like nothing, like no other. It was insane, pretty much what you expected of Isaac Cruz, coming out like the pitbull that he is, coming forth, bringing the pressure, landing the harder shots, pressing Angel backwards throughout the beginning of, I would want to say, from rounds 1 to 5. He was pretty much dictating the pace and what he wanted to do in towards that fight. And then Angel, man, a dude that's kind of really a no-name, has a decent record, but is not really known around the parts of the boxing realm, really known, and puts in a hell of a performance, man. Takes the punishment, dishes the punishment out himself as well. He actually hurts Isaac Cruz, something that's not really, shown against all these punchers that he's gone against Rolly, against Rayo, Valenzuela, against Gervonta Tank Davis. I mean, it was just a tremendous effort out of these two guys, a hellacious bloodbath between these two. We're going literally gunshot for gunshot. Uh, uh, as an analogy. But Esau Cruz, man, I mean, this is the type of fight that he usually brings himself into. He wants the entertaining fights. He's a come pressure forward fighter, not really good defensively at all. Is there to get hit. He gets hit. He takes the punishment very well, especially with the sturdy legs that he got underneath him. So Angel Fierro was definitely dishing out the punishment again towards the later end of that fight. I think the scorecard should have been a lot more closer than what it was. That's what I seen towards this fight, especially tides turning towards the end, towards the middle, and then towards the end of that fight. I think Angel did the better work compared to Isak Cruz. But Isak Cruz gets the dub. It kind of what PBC needed to get him back on track, put him where he needs to go. Gets now Angel Fierro has a name as of right now, making that statement that he is a hell of a fighter. Putting up a tremendous performance, showing his toughness, his grit, his determination to be able to pull through in that fight against Isaac Cruz, where most other fighters would have folded over, laid down, and took their money and on their way out. So shout out to Angel Fierro. I don't know if it's a robbery, very close fight, could have gone either way, but of course we're gonna give it to the bigger name. Let's be honest, it's boxing politics. We know how this goes, boxing fans. Anyways, to the co-main event we go to, and it was Stephon Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa. We go to an absolute Mexican style war, to an absolute boxing clinic. Stephen Fulton, I count him out in this fight. The only fight well, no, not the only fight. We'll get to the main event later. But the fight that I actually got wrong, that I just looked at and just smacked my head and was just like, what was I thinking? Picking Brandon Figueroa to beat this guy. Was on a hot streak. Was really doing really well. You had Stephen Fulton getting knocked out against Inoue, getting hurt against that Castro dude, somebody that Figueroa fought and actually knocked out. So things were weary for Stephen Fulton. Didn't really look as well as he did in his previous career. And then obviously in the first fight, it was the fight of the year in 2021, a bloodbath between these two guys, really going fighting tooth and nail in the booth with each other. Um, but Stephen Fulton just making the adjustments, coming out reinvigorated, coming into this fight just on a mission to be able to prove that he is still one of the best pound per pound fighters in the featherweight division, getting that belt, and 126, I believe, is their division, and just puts on a clinic against Brandon Figueroa. He completely outclassed him. I believe Figueroa thought that the fight was going to be completely the same how it was in the first fight, and Stephen Fulton just showed him levels. I could absolutely see it just from the first round, seeing how Fulton started to dictate the pace. He got his range. He got the fight where he needed to be. That was like in the first like 3 rounds. And then it started to come into the fact that Figueroa started pressing the pace, started to get more in his face, but he wasn't as effective as he was in the first fight. Wasn't really landing a lot of shots, was like stuffing a lot of shots inside the pocket, and wasn't effective, had no power, had no sting on his shots to be able to really deter Stephen Fulton. And Stephen Fulton just completely outfoxed and outboxed him, outlanded him as well, and just did the job. Stephen Fulton, man, I love the outfit. The outfit was insane. That was slick. It was nice. It was clean. I liked his outfit. His outfit was really, really nice. It surprised me when he came out there and came out with that outfit. But Stephen Fulton, man, you look good, you feel good, you fight good, baby. I mean, he put on a tremendous performance, again, completely outclassing Brandon Figueroa. And now we move on to the main event. My opinion, the fight of the year so far for boxing, and it was David Morrell versus David Benavidez. In my prediction video, I predicted that David Morrell was going to knock out David Benavidez, and it damn near happened about like 3 times. But overall, throughout this fight was more than what we paid for it and what we got, man. This fight was absolutely tremendous on all levels. You have David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, who is a monster. He is a problem to be able to deal with 100%, especially now in the 175 light heavyweight division. But David Morrell, man, not having that type of professional experience, and that, era, that regal generalship of him being thinking that he's on that upper echelon, but hasn't really proved it yet so far. And in this fight, he 100% proved it, in my opinion, showing that he has a chin. Defense was really slick, even though he still got hit with a lot of shots. And he can be able to take the punishment. He was able to be the nail when usually he's always the hammer. And he had a tremendous performance. I think the power aspect of him having that explosive shots in his hands was really doing in for David Benavidez. I think David Benavidez was really gunning hard for the knockout in this fight, but once he felt that power coming his way full-fledged, I think not that he didn't press on the gas as much as he wanted to, but he was a lot more thoughtful in this fight. He was thinking a lot more than in usually other fights than he has, because usually the fighters that he usually goes against doesn't really have that type of much of power. I mean, Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, um, Alexander Voshchik, guys that you're not really worried about what's coming back your way. You know what I mean? And with David Morrell, you're 100% worried about that. And he showed that multiple times in the fourth round, hitting David Benavidez clean with a nice right hook, short right hook on the chin of David Benavidez, buckles his knees, wobbles him. But listen, man, you got to give credit to these guys, man. You got to give credit to David Benavidez. Has a hell of a chin. David Morrell has a hell of a chin. Taking nasty short uppercuts, hooks to the side of the head, what it would be left hooks, dropping. David Benavidez had these nice slick moments where he would grab David Morrell's, I would say, right glove, drop it down, and drop the overhand right or the right hook on the side of the head of David Morrell. But really, I think the story of this fight was, of course, we knew that David Morrell, he can be able to go back, but usually we see him come forward. Is a great counterpuncher. Still showed that he is a great counterpuncher. Is kind of a prospect on the prospect side of the things. He's not again a star-studded name to be able to put out there just yet. Even with this loss, with this defeat, I think he displayed a lot. He is definitely on the upper echelon edge of the 175 division. Um, but really, to go back to what I was saying earlier, the story of this fight was David Benavidez being able to bring that type of pressure, and I just think the body shots was just starting to wear very much so on David Morrell. David Morrell had a lot of success as well with the body shots towards David Benavidez. I didn't think that he threw enough or threw a lot compared to David Benavidez to be able to slow him down. I think that's really the fountain of, put that water into that well to be able to slow down David Benavidez. He didn't do that enough. But counter punching was very, very effective. His defense did get tested a lot. He was showboating a lot. I did think that he was very overconfident, but I think he trusted into his chin and he felt the power of David Benavidez and he thought that the power is not what it's all cracked up to be. But again, the pressure, the body shots, the experience, just the wherewithal, the just continue to move forward regardless of whatever is coming back his way. David Benavidez was just continuing to, um, I don't want to say overwhelm, but he definitely was doing more than what David Morrell was doing. David Morrell would have spurts and moments of where he would come out and he would throw, a nice combination to be able to ward off David Benavidez, but David Benavidez would come right back too. And David Benavidez, I just think, had more moments than what David Morrell had throughout this fight, regardless of them both having moments. One thing that I will give credit to David Benavidez is that his defense was actually tremendous. Regardless of him getting caught with shots, I mean, it's going to happen. Your chin is going to get tested. And, his chin obviously did get tested in this fight many, many times. But his head movement, him leaning back and evading punches, him keeping his hands up with that high guard was very, very effective. He was deflecting and blocking a lot of punches. Same thing with David Morrell. He was doing the same thing as well. But him just allowing David Benavidez to just continuously throw punches at him while his guard is up doesn't look good to the judges, doesn't look good to the fans, and eventually some of the shots actually did land on David Morrell. The knockdown in the 11th round was more of a push, but still is considered a knockdown. David Benavidez didn't cry or fight about it, especially towards the end of this fight. I think at the beginning, David Benavidez came with the mindset of, bro, I just want to headhunt this dude. I want to kill him. I want to get him out of there. I'm not going to say headhunting. He did obviously he didn't headhunt. He went to the body and went to the basement a lot, but headhunting into the fact of that he wanted to get him out of there 100%. Um, he pressed on the gas, really pressed forward, bringing that pressure, wanting to be able to break David Morrell and break his spirit, so to say. But it didn't really happen. He didn't really break the will or the confidence of David Morrell. He overall did do more, but then towards the end of the fight, actually, it showed that David Morrell was pressing forward more, landing more in combinations, especially towards the 10, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I think David Morrell was starting to press forward more, had a hell of a gas tank. I mean, the amateur Cuban background, I mean, what do you want to say? Is a hell of a fighter, has a lot of freaking power. Hurt David Benavidez like 3 times. I mean, I don't know. He hit him with the right hook in the 4th round. Definitely wobbled him, but David Benavidez stayed on his feet. In the 11th round, to go back to what I was saying earlier, he David Benavidez has David Morrell, on the ropes after he just gets knocked down, and he's not really fighting that he did get knocked down. He has him on the ropes, throwing a combination. The bell sounds. The referee is trying to get into the mix of them to try to stop them from throwing more punches. And David Benavidez throws another shot. And then David Morrell catches David Benavidez after David Benavidez throws a punch after the bell. But the shot that David Morrell landed on David Benavidez landed landed hard and it actually hurt him while he was a little bit stunned going back to his corner. Um, got the point taken away. Think it was, I mean, it was a right call, but at the same time, it's kind of BS. David Benavidez also threw a shot as well after the bell. So, I mean, I get it. It is what it is. But man, I was honestly shocked and surprised. I 100% guaranteed this fight to be a finish. And, it had me on edge. And it really did have me on edge because I thought throughout this entire time David Benavidez would land a nasty combination, an uppercut, body shots. He kept going down to that basement. It was really, really nasty. I don't know how David Morrell was able to withstand all that type of punishment, but he did. Um, I thought eventually David Morrell was going to crack on the pressure, but man, the will, the spirit, the heart, determination of that kid continued to press on forward, continued to be able to back David Benavidez up and have him worried about what is coming back his way. Um, I mean, man, tremendous, tremendous chins on these guys. Tremendous shape that these guys are in to be able to take this type of punishment. I think the 118, 108 scorecard was absolutely atrocious. That fight was not that far off. 115, 111 was fair. It was a fair enough scorecard. Also, the commentary, I love Marinallo, atrocious. It was really bad. I understand Benavidez is your guy. He's your moneymaker. You have to be able to look after him and da 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 and all this other stuff. But the fight was a lot closer than what it was. Morrell was doing a lot more better work than what they gave him credit for. Of course, this is going to come from biased commentary that they want their head guy to be able to win. It is what it is. We get the typical thing with boxing. But David Benavidez 100% won this fight, came out victorious, very, very impressed, and actually very surprised out of David Morrell. Same thing with David Benavidez. Came in, put on a hell of a showcase, a hell of a fight between these two guys. And their namesake in the light heavyweight division is 100% real. That prediction video, or what I wanted to happen in 2025 in the light heavyweight division of David Benavidez, now him beating David Morrell, potentially looking on to be able to go against the fight between Dmitry Bivol or Artur Beterbiev, who's going to be fighting later this month. 100% real. Should be 100% real. If Benavidez went against Dmitry Bivol, great fight. I think eventually Benavidez wears down on Bivol, but I can see Bivol being very clever and outboxing his way against Benavidez. But if David Morrell is catching David Benavidez and hurting and wobbling David Benavidez, I got Artur Beterbiev. Unless he ages in like a year. He just ages like insane amount of age. Just goes on Artur Beterbiev, and he's not able to go after it and potentially even try to beat somebody like a David Benavidez. But I definitely would think that if they do match up, hopefully they do match up, it would be a tremendous, tremendous fight. So that is my recap and reaction, boxing fans. Tremendous card. Angel Fierro, Isaac Cruz, tremendous Mexican War. David Benavidez, David Morrell, in my opinion, so far the fight of the year for boxing. So glad that we actually got this card. So glad that we actually got these fighters to be able to face off and actually fight against each other. Like this video. If you obviously like this video, comment your opinions on how you think this fight went. Your opinions on David Morrell, David Benavidez, Stephen Fulton, the whole entire card, Isaac Cruz. Who you want him to fight next? Who do you want these guys to fight next? Obviously, David Benavidez, the winner out of Dmitry Bivol or Artur Beterbiev. And I wouldn't be mad if we got David Morrell versus Dmitry Bivol if he did lose the rematch again against Artur Beterbiev. Would it be a hell of a matchup, in my opinion? And subscribe, man. Subscribe, boxing fans. I got you this entire year. I've got you last year. And I'm going to get you this year. Again, 100%. The entire year, I'm here, baby. Thank you guys again for watching again, and peace.